Well, I told you guys I was going to. I did all my videos yesterday, but I wanted to wait for the opening. I wanted to wait till today to do, not just for a horse. I hate doing that. I don't like to say, oh, I don't want to jinx it. I'm not really a jinx guy, but I didn't want to have them potentially race bad and ruin this video. But it's Breeders' Crown weekend. I want to talk about the Breeders' Crown. Also, what I saw. The thing that I saw was a lot of horses did really well that we have siblings to or relatives to, which is always uplifting as we head into, I guess, that part of the year, right? I see myself writing differently, talking differently. When it's about the stake season, you're always trying to focus on today and how it applies to next week or 3 days from now or 4 days from now. Whereas it's now, we're trying to focus on, the last sale of the year, acquiring babies. Maybe we have 45 right now, we're still going to acquire some. So acquiring babies, but at the same time, we're looking further ahead, right? Today is getting them broke. Right now we got a little virus going through the barn in Ohio. So some of the babies are spiking temperatures, getting a little bit. It happens. You can only imagine. It's like if you're a parent out there that has a toddler, a young kid going to school, you see the snotty noses and the headaches and everything. It's just that time of year, right? You get all these different horses from all these different jurisdictions, put them under one roof. You don't have to work for the World Health Organization to understand that there's going to be some foreign bugs floating around. So for the babies right now is just get them off on the right foot. Like I said to everybody, the good thing is there's a little sick right now and it's been raining the last 2 days. So just make sure they're all cleaned out good, that they all have lots of hay, water, they can relax. If they need a little anti-inflammatory for a little fever, then so be it. Just let them reset. So that's where we're at right now in our barn. But like I said, you see the different outlook on things, the different thought process, the different way of being, talking, thinking, writing. For me, there is that transition. I can almost feel my brain going through it, right? In the summer, it was just go, 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 go. Where do we got to go next? Where do we got to go next? Where do we got to be next week? And now it's like Sunday, you have to be in Kentucky instead of tomorrow at 3 p.m., right? Or you have to get up at 4 a.m. for a flight. It's just a different feel. And then this, I can assure you, this right here, that doesn't help at all either. And now it's supposed to stop raining unless the weather's changed. It's not supposed to rain today in Corbin, but it is supposed to be a monsoon tomorrow in Corbin. And then further to that, Monday evening I'm coming back to try and drive. I can't make Gandalf, but I did. So, a little side note. I told you we've developed a pretty good relationship with Dr. Keith Brown. Obviously, our relationship with Dr. Latesse is great, and both those vets are top-notch, top of the food chain. And Dr. McKee in Ontario, and Dr. Rosenbacher, and Dr. Bosenjack, who, by the way, is having a baby. So, I don't know if you wish somebody good luck. Good luck. But I do want, obviously, Amy went through a lot of the stuff that Dr. Bosenjack is, and so it's neat because it's familiar to me, but I'm sure a little scary for her. So I guess good luck to her, and hope you have a beautiful baby girl or boy. She didn't tell me which. Anyway, all the vets that we have. And that's not even talking Dr. Carter down here in southern Ohio, Woodland Run, Dr. Roberts in Kentucky. Listen, I could go on and on and on. The people that we try to surround ourselves with, and this is part and parcel of what I've always told you, you try to have the best people around you can, right? And that goes back to my grandfather's old saying, you're only as good as the people you surround yourself with. My father always told me that. My grandfather, he was the first one to tell me that. And I tell my kids that all the time, both in your professional and your personal life. Do the best you can. Surround yourself with good people, and good things will likely happen. And I think that has been on display, especially when you factor in all of you, right? Over 900 people in 14 countries. I haven't met you all in person, but I'm, for the most part, talked with you. We've had a dialogue one time or another, and I always say it and absolutely consider it the best barn in horse racing, because we have the best clients in horse racing. I believe we do. Because you are involved for the right reasons, right? It isn't at all get in the game just to make money. It's about for the love of the industry, for the love of the horse racing industry, for the love of horses. And that's what makes us the best ones, in my humble opinion. So, when it comes to this time of year, as I said, that some little switch, it just slowly flips. And you go from, that rat race of the summer to more of a focused work ethic, where it's be in the barn. And this goes back to, many of you have noticed that I spend a lot more time in Ohio right now, and that is why we have focused most of our energy, our yearling energy, in Ohio on not just the Ohio State program, but where we're training our babies down. And I just felt that it made more sense to be here. We have those sophomores coming back. Some of those will maybe go to Ontario. You've seen that already. With 36 and the little Mickey Piecing filly, and those horses have made their way over to Ontario to be trained back, and I don't have a problem with that. But the ones that are here are the ones that I need to focus on. And when it comes to Ontario, we've built such a strong group over there, in support staff of our trainers, and James, being able to use James as a driver. There's just not as much a need for me to be in Ontario as there is in Ohio. I've said that before, and you guys know that. So it's been a little bit of a transition in that regard also. So just so much going on this year. Just so fortunate. It just feels to me like every year we get a little bit better, right? A little bit better. We try to learn from our mistakes. I've talked to you about that over the last year. Learning from what you did not do right, or did not end well, to try and not go down that path again. And we've talked about that, whether it be the way we race our horses, where we race our horses, in which way we race our horses. And I'm very proud that I think that every single year we get a little bit better. Looking back at 2022, I was excited. The horses raced great. Then to come into 2023 and have the horses race the way they did, we did have some stars. And although we didn't get to show them shine last night, I think it's important that everybody recognizes, when we look at Breeders' Crown Weekend, that is the world stage. And it's funny, every year you see some players jump up, right? And it's not that they had before. Ron Burke has always been a perennial powerhouse. His stable has been the stable for almost a decade. I had to go back and check because I didn't think it was possible. I think he said last night in the Open Breeders' Crown, I think I just saw it on Twitter before I left, it's his 1,000th win of the year. Maybe I read that wrong. I don't think I did. It's a lot. Really? Isn't that many? Maybe, I guess. I guess anything's possible when it comes to a barn that big that does that good. So it's possible, I guess. And then you see Aki Svanstedt took control last night too. Him and Burke, I think, stole, unless I'm wrong, from what I saw anyway on the Saturday and then also on the Friday, they kind of took control, right? Really took the bull by the horns. Aki Svanstedt was first and second in the 3-year-old filly trot, won the Open Colts and Geldings trot. Scotty won the 3-year-old colt trot. It was a very strong showing from those two barns in particular. There were some barns that were notably missing last night also. And I'm not going to take shots at them, but it just goes to show how difficult this game is, how tough the game of horse racing is when, you have a barn of that size that maybe doesn't show up as well as you'd hope. And it just reaffirms the fact that it doesn't matter how much money you pour into the industry, it doesn't necessarily mean you get a seat at the table, right? You don't get a seat at the main table just because. And that's what we love about it. We were close with Pickpocket, and then you see the 2-year-old trot going 51-4, last quarter 26-4. A little salty. So, and I have to give props to the Tactor barn too. I did not think Carl was going to have a great showing in the final. He looked good in his elimination, but there was some iffy moments throughout the elimination where it just looked like he was very vulnerable, and it was not the case on Friday night. He looked very, very strong, so kudos to them for having him real good in the final, especially. I think he was only beat once this year. It was just when GCI nipped him at the wire in the Kentucky Futurity, and there's another horse that's just been just a hell of an animal this year. An incredible machine. And again, just goes to prove you don't know, right? Cantab Hall, in his 412th year of breeding, Cantab Hall throws TCI. Go figure. Anyway, I did want to talk about the other Breeders' Crowns. The card kicked off, the Friday card kicked off with Renegade Gypsy winning. I thought that was a very, very good performance. I talked about that in a couple of videos, so I'm not going to go down that road again with Gypsy. I think my concerns are well documented, and the horse's sporadic behavior, both good and bad, has been well documented, and it certainly was a very, very good mile the other night, an impressive mile. Not shocking, as I said. I wasn't surprised that he won at 53 and looked good doing it. Nothing surprises me with Renegade Gypsy. I was very, very happy with the way he raced. And then to come back last night and win with JK Victory the way we did, the first time I've ever seen such a claimer in my life. A $250,000 claimer. Obviously a gimmick claimer. I don't have to check the results, but I'm certain there was no claims last night in that particular event. But he raced tough. It was funny. We were watching the race, and I said to Amy, I said, Ronnie's coming. And the two favorites were sitting 1-2. And she said, really? And I said, yeah. He knows you got to race this horse hard. He's not the type of horse that gets a soft third quarter and paces 25-4, 26 on the end of it. He might chase that kind of speed, but he's also tough. And if you stretch them out in the third just like he did, they're going to have a tough time collaring him. He's a fighter. There's no two ways about that. He is a fighter. And I thought Ronnie drove the horse tremendous. It was funny because we were joking. I told him, hey, nice drive with Renegade Gypsy. He looked really strong. And then he made a break with Senorita. I said, I take it all back. You suck. I mean, I know Ronnie real well. We're just joking. And I don't really know if he knows or if anybody knows why she made a break. It's weird. It's a weird one. She seemed pretty good to me the week before. But anyway, I suspect Adam and Ron will get a look at her. I'm almost tempted. I said it in a video yesterday. And then, of course, we saw Spitfire Overseas make a break last night. I was tempted and am tempted maybe just to go down and drive them, but I don't want to go down. One, I don't even know if, I want to have a talk with Ron. I don't want to bother him today because obviously he wants to soak it all in. Regardless of what stature you get to in horse racing, when you have the kind of weekend at the Breeders' Crown that he did, you probably should soak it all in, right? And I know he's always walking around with that earphone in his ear, like for his phone. So he's on it more than I am, actually. And I'm almost certain at this stage of his career, he either doesn't pay it the due attention he should, or he really does, and he just needs some time to absorb it all. And I don't really know which it is, but to have the kind of weekend he had was pretty impressive. Both him and Aki. And I don't want to bother him today. I might see him in Corbin, actually. That's Ronnie. I would imagine he may go from Indiana to Corbin, so I may very well see him down here. In which case I will bring it up. But what are your thoughts on Spitfire? I mean, they went 51-4. The Erskines in 5 days. They might even draw that. I have no idea. Maybe just bring him back to the Meadows and race him. Tim can race him there. But again, I'll talk to him about that. I don't think there's any reason not to race Swinging Senorita in the race. Now she's going to have her hands full, obviously, and then some with Tactical Mounds and the other fillies that are there. But having said that, I think she needs to be racing on a Grand Circuit level, especially as we head into a sale with her. I can give you a little heads up before I get another little side note. When it comes to Swinging Senorita, I know what she's probably worth in the sale, and quite frankly, if we don't get what we want for her, we can bring her back, race her right up to the Nommers at 10 level again at Dayton, and then breed her ourselves and sell her in full next year. That's always an option. And I told everybody that. It's not the same with some of the racehorses we're selling. Wallop we bought back because I knew what he was worth, and I just didn't think we should take less than that for him. Obviously, he makes a break in the final, and that's that. There's not much I can do with that. It happened. But when it comes to these mares, you're going to have a pretty good idea what they bring at the start of the sale anyway when the other mares start selling. But I think there's going to be a strong market for these brood mares. And when it comes to Horn Player and Swinging Senorita and Cutie Cumber, they should bring a certain price. And if they don't, we are going to protect them. We will sell them in full if we have to. One way or another, we'll get our money for them, I believe. So a little bit different story with Swinging Senorita than it is Spitfire Overseas. But when we talk about the Breeders' Crown in general last night, as I said, happy to see Gypsy win, happy to see J.K. Victory win. Although they weren't in the Breeders' Crown, they certainly were notable races in their own right. Jiggy Job, one of the most impressive animals I've seen in quite a while. She looked unbelievable last night. I thought Ronnie's horse was going to come back on a beater, though, down the lane, and couldn't quite get there, but raced very good. Both those mares have been tremendous all summer long. And then Aki Svanstedt took over in the 3-year-old filly division. It looked like Special Way was going to win the Breeders' Crown, and Aki's other filly, Bond, the Southwind Frank filly, got up and beat her at the wire. Both those fillies just looked so dominant in that division and were very good last night. They put on a good show, but I think the two best performances of the night, aside from By the Missile in the division or whatever, but Sylvia Hanover's mile was nothing short of incredible. We'll talk about the other horse in a minute, because I don't think we should group these two together. They were just so good in two very different miles. Sylvia Hanover, I'll be honest, I was watching Charleston very closely, because Charleston is the older sister of ours, who we're going to race today. So it was kind of cool to watch her just get picked off by Sylvia Hanover in the Breeders' Crown final. Very, very nice filly, and we have the brother, Ian Arson, who's racing this afternoon in Kentucky. So impressed with her last night, and excited with the opportunity to race Arson. Tactical Approach was a winner. It looked like the race kind of was thrown. There was a wrench thrown into it when John DeLong removed to the front coming to the half. It looked like Aki had himself set in a place he wanted to be with Up Your Dio, and obviously I was cheering for Scott and one. He's a good friend of mine, but also cheering for Up Your Dio because we have the sister, right? Grand Slam Dio is the sister to Up Your Dio. So was cheering for her. You can see why I was so excited when I was talking about our hopefuls for 2024. Here we had two horses just beat at the wire, both of them, and we have the siblings, the very next siblings to those horses. So yes, I was excited and cheering for Charleston a little bit and Up Your Dio, but both of them raced very, very good. The only horses I think that were a little disappointing last night, and I don't want to touch on it because it's such a tough year, and you guys have to understand, we saw it last week with Pickpocket. right? He just didn't. The transformation from Kentucky back to the Stone Dust track, back to Indiana on a night when it was raining and the track was hard, was not easy for him. Now, a couple of the other horses have raced everywhere, but again, whether it be sickness or the end of the year or what have you, the Breeders' Crowns are notorious for long shot winners. They just are. Since I was a kid watching them all race, it's just so difficult to maintain your stature throughout the whole season, and then finish everybody off in the Breeders' Crown. It's very, very difficult to do. And when you see dominant performances in horses that just find a way to win all the time, like Sylvian or like Confederate, you don't really understand it until you take a look back at it. It's very, very difficult to win the Breeders' Crown. And the only two horses last night that stuck out in my mind right away that I thought were probably horses that could win the divisions were maybe Grace Hill, maybe Twinbee Joe Fresh. I watched Twinbee Joe Fresh racing in Kentucky and Lexington, and I thought that was one of the most amazing looking horses I've seen in quite a while. I think she had 2 races where she came in the last quarter, sub 25. How do you even do that? And I just thought that she was ultra impressive in Kentucky, and to see her falter, yeah, she got roughed up a bit, but to see her falter last night a little bit was a tiny bit surprising. And then Grace Hill, who's been so good all year, just didn't quite have it last night, whether it be the track or, again, tons of sickness going around. Could have been a million things, but just didn't seem to have that same pop. And a little bit here, you saw it later on in the card with Tattoo Artist, right? Yannick is no dummy. He's been around a long time, and he had Louis right where he wanted him going into the first turn, baited him into moving forward. As soon as he did, Yannick never did go down to the rail. If you watch the race closely, he just sat there. He just sat in the 2-wide path and waited for Louis to advance. And when Louis advanced, he left him and strung him 3 wide all the way around the first turn. That was the race. That was it in a nutshell. And it's not like Louis said, I should have taken back. No, then Yannick would have made front, tapped the brakes, and stretched you when you cleared to the lead. Yannick knew exactly what he had to do and the horse he had to beat. And he executed it very, very well. And that sounds easy. It's a tough thing to do. And he made it look pretty easy last night. Louis drove the horse perfect. There was nothing he could do. He was damned if he did and damned if he don't type situation. And he needed Yannick to make a mistake, and he didn't. So By the Missile was the winner of the open pace. As I said, Sylvia Hanover looked tremendous, but the most dominant victory. And now, when I heard Hollywood Hayden talking about it, when I heard people talking about it after, it truly did sink in. We probably watched the best horse since Some Beach Somewhere. I think, in my generation, when people say 2 best horses, best horse in the pace, best horse in the trot, that you've seen live. We're not talking Niatross and Messenger and everyone. We're talking in your generation that you've seen with your eyes. Some Beach Somewhere and Muscle Hill. Those were the 2. This Confederate horse, oh my God. He looked bionic last night. There's no joke. Those horses are no joke. You take Confederate out of that division. Just take him out of the division. And that is a deep division of 3-year-old pacing colts. You put him in that division, they look inferior next to him. I watched him, and he's got the best driver, one of the best drivers in the world, in Tim Tetrick. One of the best drivers ever, for that matter. Smart guy, doesn't miss a beat. Great trainer. Brian Brown had him at 2. Tremendous colt guy. At 3, you have Brett Pelling. Of course, I'd say the guy's been around forever. But that doesn't mean Brett Pelling and Brian Brown have been great horses. I don't know that anybody's had a much better horse than Confederate. I'm not going to say about it. I'm not going to call him the best horse in the world. But the performance he put on last night in the mud, truly, truly incredible. Truly incredible mile. And I never realized it until I watched the replay. He's driving away in the mud, in the teeming rain, driving away in 48. It's one thing to get a great trip. Timmy drove them perfect, second or third over, pounced on them, like Scott drove tactical approach. Great drive, good horse. I don't know about great horse, but he did win the Kentucky Futurity. He did win the Hamiltonian, and he did win the Breeders' Crown. So, I don't know. It's hard because Scotty's always driven him so conservative. Had the 10-hole, rail, won in the Hamiltonian. Kentucky Futurity, outside rail, won the Kentucky Futurity. Trailing post, rail, moved him out the third over, pounced on them down the lane. I don't want to under-deliver my comments for tactical approach. Very, very good horse. Confederate was a dominant animal this year. So if you're going to talk horse to horse, if somehow you're okay with me comparing gaits, there's no comparison to the year. Confederate is just an amazing animal. And the other horse is a good, very, very good horse also. Southwind Tyrion, what a pretty horse that is, eh? The one thing about Aki Svanstedt, and here's the thing you have to understand. We take great pride in our horsemanship, right? The fact that we can take these horses, do good with them. What Aki Svanstedt does is on a whole other level. His horses all come out in the track. They can all leave like runners, be stopped on a dime. Half of them don't wear head checks, and most of them don't wear boots, except for maybe a set of trot boots behind. I had somebody say to me at some point before the Lexington sale, well, it's because those guys buy the best horses. Come on now. Other people buy the best horses too. They don't look like that. He is just a tremendous horseman. Both him and Sarah, the job they do on their horses it's impressive. From somebody who's been around for a while and been around a lot of really smart horse people and watched every major race in the last 40 years since my eyes were open. Man, it's just what he does with the horses is incredible. Incredible. Anyway, it's always nice to watch these major races and watch other people. And Southwind Tyrion was great. Take nothing away from Logan Park, and just going back to just touch on Logan Park for a minute. Been a dominant horse in Canada all year. Kind of left. I don't know. I wasn't watching. The way that the races played changed dramatically later in the card when it started to pour. Did that affect Logan Park? Probably. Dougie drove the horse perfect, and just a great horse. Just got beat for third at the wire. Only beat a couple of lengths. And Southwind Tyrion got everything his own way. And take nothing away from either of them. I think if you put their years, it's close because Logan Park spent the vast majority of his year in Canada, not racing its inferior horses, but it is worth noting that White Tiger raced against Logan Park quite a bit. So for those of you out there, again, that maybe don't know, Joe, he said, I don't know what you mean, Scott Young gets a drive when he's in too tough. And I said, it seems to me in a couple of your emails that you are saying that Scott Young doesn't get along with White Tiger. The problem is, Scott Young doesn't get along with White Tiger in the open. No one would. Because he's not an open trotter. Really nice horse. Might be an open trotter when they put Logan Park and those horses away. He's just a really nice horse. So, to have a horse that raced that good in the open and picked for second, I think, overall there was one more disappointment tonight. Or last night, sorry. He did the second. I don't want to dwell on disappointments because I feel bad for the people, especially for the horses that had such dominant years. Alaraj won. Looked out of sorts last night. Did not look as dominant as he has all year. And when I say dominant, I mean dominant. Because he was. So 3 horses, I guess, were a little underwhelming last night. But Logan Park was not one of them. He raced good, raced his butt off, got beat by a horse and pounced on him late. Another horse has been a real, real good horse. Raced good. Horse raced good last night. So that was the Breeders' Crown for the most part in a nutshell. And obviously I touched on By the Missiles. Incredible victory also. And how he got there. Of all the drives last night, you had some paint by numbers, smart drives, good drives, horses that raced really well. One of the more tactical races that was executed as well as it it really was Yannick driving by the missile, and I felt bad for Louis. I could see it unfolding. You could see it. It's like the part of the movie where you know someone's about to get shot. That guy, he's about to be killed. And I felt terrible for Louis because I'm watching him like, oh no. Yeah, that's not good. And he just stretched him enough. Just the inches of the track in a race like that with world-class drivers and world-class horses. Sometimes that's the difference, and last night it was. So a great night by Burke, a great night by Aki, and really fun card to watch. And I'm not a guy, at 46 years old, I don't spend a lot of time sitting home watching the races. There's some of you out there that maybe watch every race card that there is. See the Meadowlands every Saturday, or Mohawk, or I don't watch them. If our horses aren't in, I generally don't watch the races. And that's just me. Somebody said to me, well, you're not doing your due diligence. Well, I don't race those horses. I don't race those horses. I race our horses, or manage our horses, and I watch where, if I feel there's a change needed, or a change coming, I'll watch to see where they maybe should be or could be. But I don't watch, 12 races from Mohawk or from the Meadowlands on a Saturday night. I'd rather watch, I tell you what I did watch a lot of, there was a lot of switching back and forth between the World Series. I came back home after Thinking Galaxies, watched the start of the game, and then after a sliver of fashion, his victory. We'll talk about those in a second. I watched back and forth between the Breeders' Crown and the baseball game. It was so quickly on the baseball. I don't know if you guys, there's a lot of baseball fans out there or not. I love watching baseball. Now my brothers Curtis and James will watch hockey and mark hockey nonstop. I was never a big hockey guy. I don't have a problem with hockey. I wouldn't switch it off, but I wouldn't sit down, open up a bag of Tostitos and watch hockey. And just football, yes. Baseball, yes. Horse racing, yes. Even though I don't watch them all, I do enjoy watching a good card of racing, and last night was that. So, last week for us at the stable, I know this video is getting a little bit long, but I think we've been rolling along pretty good. Happy with the way our year went for racing, and very happy with the way things went last week. Stay Close, although it wasn't, I put it in your email as a featured race because it wasn't written as an open, but it was the top class for the whole week. I thought he raced really well last week. From my vantage point, from the pilot, I don't think it was his best race of the year, but again, I love when horses don't feel like they're at their best but still get the job done, and he looked really, really good. Really impressed with Stay Close. I talked about Friday's Breeders' Crown. I talked about Renegade Gypsy. I even talked about the break. My God, I even talked about the break from Swinging Senorita, and I didn't talk about one of the most impressive horses we've ever had, and one of the nicest fillies of this year for sure was Tactical Mounds. My apologies to Megan and everybody that owns Tactical Mounds. This filly just continues to get it done. I can tell you what she's done. She has made the most money of any horse we've ever had in a year. And the most money ever made, I believe. No, not life, because we have White Tiger the whole time. He's made like $1 million life, and or $500,000 life. Hope he gets to $1 million, but I don't think it's going to happen. But annually speaking, Swinging Senorita has made the most money of any horse we've ever had, I believe. I could be wrong. There's going to be a lot of analytics go into this, but I believe that to be true. So, really impressed with the job Megan has done, the job Scotty has done driving the filly all year. We knew she had speed when we sent her down there after her Northfield Park qualifier and subsequent first race, but nowhere did we think that Tactical Mounds would come out. I didn't anyway. To the point where we were like, geez, I wish she was in the Breeders' Crown. No? now, I never thought that would happen, and it certainly did. So, a great job by Scotty and Megan. Now, Stay Close. As I said, raced good last week. Halakai the third, I thought, put in one of the more impressive races I've seen from her since we got her. Very strong. I really didn't know what would happen when I got her to the front. How would she behave? How would Halakai do on the front? Last time I put her on the front and I let her trot in the third quarter, she fizzled out, kind of pulled up a bit halfway down the lane and got beat, and then has looked very, very good ever since. And the other day, you'd see her halfway down the lane, her ears are up. She liked her work and was very good. She's back in this week in that series, that Nominers 2 series. So interested to see how she does. Aside from the tactical mounds and that top echelon of trotter, or pacer for that matter, I think a horse that deserves talking about and has done very, very well also has been Coupe de Ville. This is Globetrotting's younger sister. At 2, a little bit of a speed demon, even in the fairs. We're not talking like stakes. We're talking fair races and maybe the odd Buckeye. She was okay, but really hard to deal with, really immature, really hot, and then come back at 3 and just put it all together and just turned into be a really, really nice filly. It's just jogged her last 2, and then coming into this week, I think she's got 1 win left. She might be able to race in that non-winners of 10 race at Dayton, maybe, and if she can do that, great. But at some point, we're going to sell her as a broodmare, and I think she's going to be a very good broodmare. She's made over 100,000 now, taking a mark of 56.5 mile track, multiple stake victories. I think she's going to be a good mare and should be sought after as we head into the latter parts of fall and even into December, when everybody starts looking for those broodmare. Well, they start looking for them at Harrisburg and around Harrisburg, but she should be and will likely be sought after, I think, as we head in, getting closer to breeding season. Cupid Express, I thought, raced very good. I didn't know how this filly would go back. Amy and I were talking about it, and I said I had flashes of Blue Tesla last year, where she was just so dominant for about 5 starts and then just poof, disappeared for no particular reason. And I was worried that would happen with Cupid Express. I had the same feeling the night she won at 55. She absolutely crushed them, and then I didn't know how she'd come back. I didn't know how she'd race the other night. Didn't really know if I wanted her on the front. I thought Aaron might be able to beat me, but if he was going to do it, he was going to do it on my terms. He did. Beat me nose at the wire. But Cupid Express raced very, very good. I thought J.K. Mickey Mantle raced good. 3rd and 51 flat, but his demeanor, his attitude changed a little bit. He comes screaming off the car where he hadn't in past weeks. Got away well, followed well, and finished up well. You know, they went 51 flat. You can only go so fast. If they come back to him in 51 and 3, 51 and 4, he gets there again in 51 and 3, 51 and 4. But they didn't. They kept going, and he was still coming to them, but he couldn't quite get there in 51. Renegade Gypsy, I talked about how good Renegade Gypsy was. I just talked about how good Tactical Mounds has been and how impressive she's been all year long. Swinging Senorita has been the picture of consistency her entire life. Has only ever made 2 breaks in her life. Aside from that, very rarely missed the board. Has put together a very strong resume, well over 300,000, made multiple sire stake victories. Mark of 54, I think, on a half and a 5/8, if I'm not mistaken. Has just been a very, very, very good mare for us. So I guess when you talk about money made overall, she's on that list also. She is. Nothing But a Dreamer raced good the other night also. His next start will be the Harvest Series. He'll go Harvest Series elimination, and then we'll sell him before the final. I just think there's races out there for him, and yes, he can do it, that 3-year-old claimer, so we know what he's worth looking at that race. Now, you can't use the 3-year-old allowance because now you're into November, almost December. But you can certainly use what he's worth in the 4-year-old allowance. So we know what we'll take for him, and we know what we will not take for him. But he is certainly coming on lately. Flashes of the horse we expected him to be all year, showing up now. Now that was a diminished pop-up series, and he's going to be going a little more test in the Harvest Series. But we'll see where we go from here with him. Absolute Euphoria, I thought, was fantastic. Yesterday just got picked off at the wire, and I mean just got picked off. She raced very, very good. Think of Galaxy's first start on Lasix last night. Was she awesome? No, but she was better. She was better. Got away in the 2-hole. That horse come 27 apiece, 28. Her own mile was 53-4 last quarter and 28. Now somebody said, "Wow, she paced 50 before that." Just hold on a second. That's 50 at the old Northfield Park, where the pylons were configured a little differently than they are right now. So 53-4 on a cool evening, 28-1 on the end of it, 28 apiece on the end of it. I'll take it. I'd like to see her push forward a little bit more, but I will take that mile last night. JK Victory was tremendous also last night. Looked very, very, very good. I should have maybe ended with him instead of a Sliver of Fashion. Sliver of Fashion was very good. Got up to win again. Winners win. So I was happy with the way he got his work done and got to the winner's circle. And then obviously JK Victory was sensational last night, winning that what I call the gimmick, because nobody's really going to claim a horse out of a $250,000 claimer. But he did race him one. In fact, I don't know if I've ever heard of a higher claimer in my life than $250,000. I thought maybe 150 was the most I'd ever seen. Maybe. I've never seen a $250,000 claimer. Anyway, he was a winner and looked very, very good. Just so impressed with the way things have gone recently, and then really, truthfully speaking, all of 2024. We were on a roll last year and didn't think that it could be outdone, and I believe it has. We won not one but two. You know, win the Arden and you say, it's a Grand Circuit event. I'm not taking anything away from the Arden, but it's not considered a big race in horse racing. So although it may be a Grand Circuit event, and the Gold Cup was a Grand Circuit event last year, the Bluegrass and the International Stallion, those are legit Grand Circuit events in Kentucky. And again, I'm not taking anything away from those other races, but when you're talking about stake racing for younger horses especially, those two particular events are absolutely Grand Circuit events. We won them back-to-back weeks with Pickpocket, and that was impressive. Arson has been tremendous this year also. I'm on my way right now down to drive Arson today, Memory and Imagination tomorrow. Both horses have hit 6 figures for the year, and both horses have been tremendous all throughout the summer. Little hiccup with Memory and Imagination, that was well documented, but he's back on track now. The only problem with that is he's drawing the 8-hole tomorrow in the mud. So let's see how things work out tomorrow and today for Arson and Memory and Imagination. You know, very, very excited, as I said, about the Harrisburg sale coming up in about 10 days. Just really impressed with what we've been able to acquire all year. And that goes without saying, that comes back to you. That comes back to our clients that have the confidence and trust in us to buy the right horses, to train them down, to see how things work out. And that's earned, right? That's an earned trust. We've done a great job. I think everybody behind the scenes, all our trainers, all our caretakers throughout the years have done so much hard work. I've put so much hard work into these horses and done so well with them that it's translated onto the track. And I can't help but believe and think with almost every fiber of my being that we are going to get to that Breeders' Crown level. Not where we pickpocket in, but where we have a couple, 3, 4 horses on that Breeders' Crown card on a night, you know, where we are present on Hamiltonian Day, or maybe in the North American Cup in the Meadowlands Pace, and we're already in the Little Brown Jug, but to be factors, not to find your way, not to worm your way in with a horse you lucked out on, but to be factors on the world stage. And we are slowly getting there and doing it in the most conservative and proper way. And all of that, none of it is possible without you. And all of that is possible because of the trust and confidence you put in us to go to these sales, to do this work, to buy these horses, to train them down, to get them ready, and then to execute and race them. And I just can't say enough. I say it all the time, but I truly mean it. You know, there are certain components of the stable that allow the stable to function. Obviously, my wife Amy is the strongest backbone any relationship could have. She is a big part of that. You know, the work that I try to put in is important. All of our caretakers and trainers are important, but really it all starts with you, because none of that would be needed if we didn't have the support of our clients. So as we head into Harrisburg, I truly appreciate everything you've allowed us to do, and hopefully for the most of you, you're excited about 2024 the same way I am. and it is the last sale of the year. So I'd be remiss if I didn't let everybody know that this is it. This is the last dance, the last sale of the year. We are heading to Harrisburg in 10 days, and if you want to participate, that would be great. I have, as it was suggested, made 3 or 4 or 5, I think, much smaller buckets with 1 to 4 horses in them. The premier horse obviously is 1, and the other ones I believe are written down as 2 to 3. But if my math's correct, it'll likely be somewhere around 1 to 3. So at the very most, I suspect we leave Harrisburg with 10 or 11 horses. I suspect that number will be a little south of 10 or 11. So let me know. Do you want to participate in Harrisburg? If you do, then let me know in what form, if you would like to buy into one of those buckets. And I think it's important to let everybody know the buckets are wonderful, but it just allows me an opportunity to gauge what we can do financially in Harrisburg. It gives everybody, I believe, has 24 or 48 hours that have bought into that buckets to get whatever shares they want, and then we'll open up those buckets and allow everybody to put any shares they maybe don't want onto the open market, where the rest of the stable.ca will be waiting for them. So in a perfect world, that's how it'll work, and hopefully it will as we head into Harrisburg. Thank you again. I truly appreciate, I can't say it enough, all the trust and confidence that you put in us. We understand it, we respect it, and we take it very, very seriously. So thank you all again. Have a wonderful day. If you're here anywhere in Southern Ohio, need an umbrella. Hopefully we can put that away as we head into Kentucky. Take care.